Well, what do you have for us in critical thinking?
Well, this week I'd like to talk about looking for information you want instead of taking the information that's available. You know, the top of the news isn't always what you need to know. For example, you know, the Wall Street Journal, I just pulled it up here. Let's see what the Wall Street Journal has on its front page. So we zoom in here. It says, in the South, cleanup begins along the trail of devastation. So there's lots of tornadoes going on in the South, and they've got a massive amount of devastation going on, and so they're going to be cleaning that up. But I don't need to know that. I mean, it's nice to know that it's somewhat interesting, but it doesn't impact my life.
Doesn't affect me, so we shouldn't be looking for what's going on in the world?
I just need, well, yes, you should, but the idea of following whatever's the top story doesn't give you the data you need to actually make a decision.
That's true.
So here's a story. Rare collision forces fuel storms. Missouri tries to block levee blast. Nuclear plant safety questioned. China's one-child plan faces new fire.
Uh-oh, well that's important for me.
Well,
No.
Is it? Okay. It's not that all that important. So we get thrown information at us all the time. And my point here is that you have to go out and look for the information that's going to make a difference to you. And even if that's buried on the 14th page, that's what you should be looking for. So think of it in different ways. That information doesn't come to you because you turn the TV on. Information, you go out and go get the information you need to be able to make a decision. And the rest of the information is just passing you by.
So what information should we be looking for?
Well, that's a good question. So start with data and try to avoid the commentary. So if GDP is 1.8, that's what I want to know. What I don't want to know is some pundit on television's perspective of what 1.8 means or anything else. However, trends are very important. We don't want to know just 1.8. That doesn't tell us anything. It went from 3.1 to 1.8 tells us there's a trend. The trend in this case isn't very good.
No.
But we would want to know the trend because a single data point doesn't tell us anything. For example, if the economy was at negative 3.6% GDP in the fourth quarter and it was now at 1.8, the economy would be getting better, and that would have an impact on our decision making going forward. So those are the kinds of things that you would want to know.
And where should we start specifically?
Well, specifically, okay, so start with GDP. You need to know what's going on in GDP. That's the measure of goods and services being produced in the economy. If it's growing, the economy is getting better, or at least it's growing. It might not be getting better, but if the economy is growing, it can be negative. That means the economy is contracting. We've talked about unemployment quite a bit here. You should know U3 and U6. Look for those numbers every month. And then inflation, of course, CPI, the consumer inflation number is important to know. That kind of paints a picture of the past. There's other numbers, Philly Fed, for example. And then you look to the future. Well, start with the S&P 500. You know, you should know where the broad market average is. The S&P 500 is the broad market.
And it's forward-looking.
It's forward-looking. Absolutely. Stock markets are forward. People buy stocks based on what they think the
expectations are.
The expectations of the future. Things are getting better. Stocks start going up. If they think things in the future will be worse, stocks will fall. So they're forward-looking. So those would be indicators. In S&P 500, you should know the number that it's at. It's like, oh, geez, I should know today. It's like 1350.
1350.
1350, okay. So I don't know exactly. I didn't look it up right before here. But I know about where it is, and then I can track it, and obviously I track it every day. But when you're thinking about it, then you'll know the trends, and you'll see a relative level, and you can see what's going on. So just track 3, 4, 5 pieces of data on a fairly regular basis. You can get a picture of what's going on.
And what's your takeaway?
So my takeaway is making good decisions requires having good information. And if you want good information, you have to go out and get it. So go, get it, go.